Now, this in turn contributes to insulin resistance. And as I mentioned before, many doctors and researchers refer to Alzheimer's disease as diabetes of the brain. So, this also leads to chronic inflammation. So, here you're hungry all the time, you have insulin resistance, as well as leptin resistance. You're not creating energy, and this all leads to inflammation in the brain. These are all involved in the occurrence of Alzheimer's disease. And this is exactly how a high sugar diet contributes to Alzheimer's disease. I mean, it's not the only contributing factor. The high sugar diet is also causing blockages and thickening of the artery walls and hardening of the arteries, atherosclerosis, which contributes to poor brain function, etc. So there's other things going on. And of course, diabetes is a disaster for the brain. And a high sugar diet leads to diabetes. Now, there's another effect of the fructose in the brain. The fructose and methylgalactose, leptin resistance, the insulin resistance, leads to a malfunction in the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is a growth factor in the brain. It's basically Miracle-Gro for your brain. BDNF is Miracle-Gro for the brain. And it's released when you take naps, and it's released at certain other times, but it's mostly released at night when you go through periods of deep sleep. Sleep is a cycle. When you go into periods of deep sleep, you release this Miracle-Gro for the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and you literally give birth to new memory cells. So another issue with this fructose production is a decline in the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So you've not been eating well for years, and you really haven't exercised enough, which would have helped make up for the poor diet. Not maintain for the poor diet, but make up for the poor diet. So what do you do at this point? Well, the first step, of course, is amending your diet. More fiber-rich foods, which are generally vegetables, really makes a difference. And of course, fish, good healthy fish like salmon, wild-caught salmon, because one of the best things you could put in your mouth is fish oils. It's great for your brain, great for your heart, great for your muscles. It's important for your bones. It does a lot of things. Helps control the immune system. So a good diet rich in vegetables, fresh nuts, seeds, and fish is the first step. And a second step is trying to increase your exercise. Now, does that mean you have to go to one of these gyms and roll tractor tires? No, of course not. It could be as simple as starting to walk more and more each day. But don't do the walking all at once. The body is made to work in spurts. I don't know if you've ever heard of a blue zone. A blue zone is a region where people live longer than people in the surrounding areas. So people in blue zones tend to live, more frequently, to reach 90 and 100 and 105. And one thing that's common in blue zones is these people move in spurts. They're not sitting all day. It's how they're moving that's important. They're not going to the gym and lifting weights. They're not running 3 miles. If they want to eat an olive, they have to go and get a ladder and climb up to the olive tree and pick some olives. So they're getting these spurts of energy every 20 or 30 minutes. And in fact, that's how I run my life. Other than doing radio shows where I have to sit still for an hour, I take breaks every 20 minutes and do something simple like climb the stairs 2 or 3 times. Go up and down the stairs 2 or 3 times. I mean, that's all you have to do. Go out and garden. That's it. Walk around the block. That's all exercise. So don't do it all at once. It works better for your brain and your body and your heart if you split up these bouts of exercise. So, going to the gym for an hour a day is good. Some people tend to overdo it, of course. But but if that's all you're doing, you're really better off breaking up the physical function. So getting into an exercise routine or getting into a more active lifestyle is really important. You don't have to ride your bike, albeit that's really good. You don't have to run, albeit moderate amounts of running is really good. You just need to do normal things like vacuum, like walk up and down the stairs, like walk around the block, like garden in the backyard. All those things count. So changing your diet, getting some exercise. These things are great for the brain. Socializing, very important for the brain for a number of reasons. Challenging the brain, like right now I'm learning how to paint. Um, when I have that conquered and it's easier for me to paint, and I'm doing okay. I've been painting for about a year and a half at this point. Um, I do acrylics. I like acrylics. I don't have the patience to wait for oil to dry, and I don't want to use all the chemicals that are involved with oil painting. So once I conquer that, I plan on learning an instrument. I don't know how to play any instrument, and I plan on learning one or two languages, like maybe Spanish and Japanese. These things, yeah, and I'm 70 years old. Listen, you have to have goals, something to look forward to, something that makes the day important and makes you have a reason for getting up in the morning. These are all important. Obviously, I have a wife, kids, dogs. Oh, by the way, I have a new dog. I rescued a 9 pound Pomeranian who had surgery recently, and he's with me, and he's 11 years old, and he's doing well. So we have two dogs. Let's get back to this. Now, of course, enough sleep is really important because you grow your brain at night. You release that brain factor, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which I said is the miracle growth for your brain. So that's important too. All these things are important. What about supplements? Yes, absolutely. There's a supplement called Alcar with ALA. It's acetyl L-carnitine with alpha lipoic acid. Alpha lipoic acid reduces inflammation in the brain and helps restore the formation of energy in the brain. Alcar, which stands for acetyl L-carnitine, actually it stands for N-acetyl L-carnitine. Alcar, ALCAR, restores metabolism to the brain, but it does more than that. So the Alcar and the alpha lipoic acid make it easier for the brain to utilize sugar for energy. A second thing is Alcar donates to the acetyl group, and you create something called acetylcholine. What does acetylcholine do in the brain? It's fantastic in the brain. It's part of the release of that miracle growth for the brain, which is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So you need acetylcholine for that. Acetylcholine helps you solve problems. Acetylcholine helps you learn things, and acetylcholine helps you remember things. And sadly, acetylcholine levels drop with age, and they're basically devoid in people with Alzheimer's disease. So Alcar makes it easy for you to create acetylcholine. The Alcar donates an acetyl group to choline, which is a B vitamin, and that creates acetylcholine. So that's good for the brain. Alcar also helps prevent what we call apoptosis, which is the death of brain. It's the death of any cell, but in this case, we're talking about the brain. So the Alcar helps prevent apoptosis, the death of brain cells. And Alcar also fosters the creation of many neurotransmitters. We know of about 100 neurotransmitters in the body, and in the brain, they're all active, and they help control your appetite, and they help you sleep at night and wake up in the daytime and pay attention and learn and remember and react to danger and all these things. Things like dopamine, serotonin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, glutamate, glutamic acid, GABA, which is gamma aminobutyric acid. And Alcar helps create many of these. So it's very good food for the brain. Now, taking Alcar with ALA helps rejuvenate an aging brain. So if you've been eating a sugary diet and just not living well, just not good, good lifestyle as far as health goes, your brain is older than it should be. Alcar helps turn the clock back. B vitamins. B vitamins are essential for creating energy out of food. They do a lot of things, like B vitamins, like folate helps you create new healthy brain cells in general, new healthy cells in general. So of course you need folate in the brain to create new healthy brain cells. Most multivitamins use folic acid. Not everybody can convert folic acid to the active form of folate, a B vitamin. The active form is methyl tetrahydrofolate, or MTHF. M is in Mary, T is in Thomas, H is in Harry, F is in Frank. The problem with that is, one, you can't create brain cells as efficiently, and two, homocysteine levels increase. Homocysteine is like it's like a solvent in the brain. It increases your chances dramatically of having depression and also dramatically increases your risk of having Alzheimer's disease. So the methyl tetrahydrofolate is the best thing for lowering homocysteine levels. And the B vitamins in general help you create energy. In fact, one of them, vitamin B1, is amazing. B1 is steps into the transketolase pathway. That's another discussion. And it restores blood sugar utilization throughout the body and in the brain. So like B1 is a really important vitamin for diabetics. B vitamins in general are very important for diabetics. In fact, a form of B1 called benfotiamine has been shown to be really helpful for an aging brain to help restore metabolism and utilization of sugar for energy. And, to push back on leptin resistance, to push back on the effects of fructose, to push back on aging, to push back on insulin resistance in the brain. So it's very, very helpful, the B vitamins. Creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate many, many decades ago came out of the gym world, the bodybuilding world. And, many things that come out of the bodybuilding world are really issues, but this one is exceptional. Creatine monohydrate is the real thing. You don't have to get any expensive, crazy form of creatine. Creatine monohydrate works fine. Don't waste your money on more expensive forms. And what creatine monohydrate does, it restores phosphocreatine, like in your muscles. If you've done intense exercise, you restore the phosphocreatine. So what's that all about? Phosphocreatine is the thing that can donate phosphorus groups to ADP to make ATP. Remember, ATP is the thing that contains energy. So you're reestablishing the currency for energy by taking creatine, about a scoop a day, which is basically a teaspoon. Resveratrol is helpful in a different way. Resveratrol is vasoactive. It's a supplement that's vasoactive. And this would be the trans form of resveratrol. The cis form of resveratrol is just a blood thinner. The trans form of resveratrol is great for restoring circulation, like to the brain. There was a Reshaw study a couple of years ago, 100 women, and over the course of 2 years, they saw that in older women, resveratrol was restoring circulation to their brain on average by 17%, which is important because all of us have a decline in circulation to our brain as we age, and you need that healthy circulation. Resveratrol also seems to foster the growth of new mitochondria, according to some research, but we need more research along that line. We know it helps restore circulation to the brain. There's a number of studies that show that. As far as creating additional mitochondria where you turn sugar into energy, we need more evidence for that. But it does help restore the health of the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier is extra insulation on the blood vessels in the brain to keep bad things from leaving the bloodstream and getting into the brain. And with age, the blood-brain barrier starts to get a little leaky, and things are getting into the brain that age the brain or toxic to the brain in microdoses. So we want those out of the brain. So resveratrol has a number of benefits for the brain. So I want to wrap it up there. I've gone a little bit too long. My name is Jerry Hickey, and once again, I'm a pharmacist who's always specialized in nutrition. I just love nutrition. When I started out in nutrition in the 1970s, it really was the new frontier. So I've been doing this for a long time. And I said before, hey, listen, Invite, we have a lot of these podcasts. I'm not the only one who does them. And they're available for free everywhere, wherever you listen to podcasts. And also on the Invite Health website. And, they asked if you could subscribe and leave a review, which is helpful to me. If I get a review, it's helpful to me.